Welcome to the flip side of crypto. There might be projects that might say they'll 1000x in a given period of time. There might be projects they'll say our NFT is the best. There are some projects, however, that build the infrastructure for the newest dApps and the projects which will actually be used by the masses and by you as well. I'm very lucky to talk to one of such projects. And my very special guest will introduce himself now. Pranav, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show. I'm Pranav Maheshwari. I work as a solutions engineer for Node, which is one of the core devs behind the Graph protocol. And my mission today would be to talk about the Web3 stack and how the Graph is helping every decentralized application in the world to be functional and to actually what we say as use the blockchain they want to, let's say Ethereum, Near, whatever they want, and get the index data and use it to create the decentralized application.
Okay, so it's a big mission. So let's kind of dissect why that's so important. So when you say indexing, basically, that's what the internet does now, right? So Google, for example, you have to have good SEO to be indexed by Google. So is it the same for blockchain? Would you help projects get indexed? How does that work, essentially?
Right. That's a very essential and important question. So in one word, if you want to call it, you can say what Google does to the Web2 world, which is a centralized world. The Graph does to the Web3 world, the Web3 protocol. How does it function? Do you want me to go deep in there?
Yeah, please do. So essentially, you're doing what Google does for the blockchain universe. All right, let's dig in deeper. So how exactly do you do that?
Right. So the problem of Google to index different blockchains is that it's a centralized infrastructure, actually indexed by a centralized company like Google to serve everything. But when we come from the Web2 world to the Web3 world, where essentially everything is decentralized, you need to index everything. You need to get everything inside the blockchain in a decentralized fashion. You need to get everything outside the blockchain in a decentralized fashion. And that is only possible when you use a decentralized Web3 stack. That is what the Graph does. How do we make it possible? So the blockchain is actually made with security assumptions that it can never be hacked. It's a linked list infrastructure, right? To get the data inside a particular linked list block, you either have to traverse everything, or you need to use something like the Graph to get that data, to listen to the blockchain, to get that data, put it in a decentralized fashion, and make it into open APIs which can be served to decentralized applications. So this is basically our motto: to listen to different blockchains, store the data that a decentralized application wants, all the on-chain data in a decentralized fashion, store that in a decentralized fashion, and put it across decentralized application via GraphQL APIs using the Graph protocol.
Okay, so that was quite a bit of technical jargon, but essentially what this means is that the Graph would kind of help build the infrastructure for projects to then begin building on top the most beloved NFT solutions, marketplaces, etc., that we all love and use today, to simplify it just a bit more.
Yeah, you can also say that if you are building a decentralized application, let's say you're building a DeFi application like Uniswap, you'll require the analytics page, whatever people are interacting on chain, that has to be put via info.uniswap page. For that, you require the Graph. Whatever NFT trading, whatever applications are shown to you in the front end via foundation.app, all of them need to be indexed and put to the application front end, and that requires the Graph. If you're using a social token, if you're creating a social media on the blockchain, all of them are blockchain-based interactions, and for them, you require the Graph.
Understood. So the Graph then seems to be crucial for Web 3.0, but I've now see Edge and Node and the Graph. Could you kind of help me understand? So does the Graph simply, just this infrastructure layer? Is it the whole protocol? So what is the Graph and this relationship with Edge and Node?
Right. That's again, I would love to clarify that the graph is a foundation. It's a protocol,
Yeah.
right? And there are three core devs building the graph, which is indexing and querying layer. That is the mission of the graph protocol. And there are essentially three core dev teams building on, building the graph protocol. One of them is Agent Node, which is the company I work for. Then there is Streaming Fast, and then there is Figment. All of these three amazing companies are trying to make the Web3 stack based decentralized indexing and querying a reality. So yeah, the Agent Node is one of the roadmaps building the graph, and it is also one of the initial teams behind the graph protocol.
Okay, so now that we kind of have a grasp on what is your mission, the big mission is to create this kind of decentralized open data infrastructure. Now, regular users and most beloved projects are using it as their base layer. But let's now look at the practical level. So what real results can people achieve using the graph?
Right. So as I told you, the graph is an essential part of the Web3 stack, right? So if you are building a decentralized application, if somebody is building a decentralized application, let's say Uniswap, he has to use the graph to study and store whatever information is being done by the user on chain, right? It has to be stored. So for any developer who wants to build a decentralized application, he needs to use the graph to track all the on-chain activities that happen and put them to the decentralized application in a decentralized format using the graph on the network, the graph network, right? So that's basically the essentials. And the practical usage of the graph protocol, as I told you, currently can be seen in abundance, because there was an example given by me that if you're building a DeFi, you need to have an analytics page to actually see whatever on-chain analytics are being done, on-chain activities are being done by the user. You need to use the graph. If you have an NFT marketplace, you need to use the graph to actually get or see whatever on-chain NFT transaction and all those things are happening. You need to use the graph. If you're having a metaverse like Decentralized, they use the graph to actually iterate and see all the on-chain data and put them to the user. So basically, the graph is a marketplace for all the decentralized applications to create their open APIs, which can be used by that particular organization, that particular protocol, as well as other people, like Uniswap information page, Uniswap open APIs can be used by an analytics dashboard page, as well as the SushiSwap APIs, open APIs provided by the graph, can be used by the dashboard. You might have heard about the cryptofee.info, that particular dashboard. All the data that particular dashboard gets is through the graph's open APIs that a protocol has. So basically, it's a marketplace for getting open data.
Yeah, and it's crucial for the kind of world which we are striving to create, which is a decentralized information world, and not a place where if some social media site giant gets hacked, everybody's information is just not disseminated towards it or is not sold off, for example. This allows data to be open source, it's a lot clearer, and everyone has clear responsibilities, which the smart chain provides. Now, it's interesting to me though, what was your journey? So what was your journey into Web 3.0? How did you start, and why did you dedicate yourself to this mission instead of all others, instead of creating, for example, the next NFT koala game or...
Right. So this is a very interesting question, and this goes back to my journey of struggle, you can say. In 2017, when everybody was leaving the Ethereum world because of its price speculation and infrastructure, I was getting into the protocol because I believed in the fundamentals of decentralized infrastructure and its requirements. And when I was building a decentralized application, there were lots and lots of problems that I faced. Because of the lack of infrastructure that existed at that point in time, like the graph. You didn't have something like the graph, the Web3 stack. the graph, for getting all the data that's being served on chain to get it off chain. You didn't have all of that, right? And there was also an issue of scaling. For example, I was building a decentralized Twitter, right? And to do one particular thing was taking like $25 or something, which is something only maybe something like not normally people would like to pay. So I found that Ethereum is great. The Web3 protocol, or the nuances in which it is actually built, is awesome, but it lacks the core infrastructure actually required to make things work. So I, being from India, I joined Polygon as my first company, which was scaling the Ethereum world, and I found it was very, very important to scale Ethereum, to make it a reality and bring it to what we see now, the mass adoption. So that was my first step to the Web3 world, getting into Polygon, getting into the ecosystem. Loved the work, loved the energy. Lot of struggle in the bear markets, the protocols and the fundamentals of, and believers had to do. They had to rush through, or they had to every day literally just bang their head against the wall to make it happen. And I was working for Polygon, enjoying my way, just defying all the Web2 corporate evils that people were doing. Then I thought that maybe it's time to move on and move towards something which is not just scaling, but also getting the data outside. Be it DeFi, be it NFT, be it anything. You always require the data to be outside and pushed to the users via the decentralized application using open APIs. And for that, I thought the graph is an awesome, protocol to make things work. I loved the ethos of the protocol and the nuances it was being built on. I loved Yaniv's speech on the graph day, in which he told that we have done great in Web2, but we now need the Web3, and it has to be there. The Web3 cannot come without the Web3 stack, and that's what actually encouraged me to get into the graph. And that was my awesome journey.
It does sound like that. And through that awesome journey, now what is the end goal of the graph, right? So let's just say you build the infrastructure. Of course, it's never really finished. It constantly evolves as humans do, right? As technology does. But what is the medium and long-term goal of the graph protocol?
Right. So the graph is built with this particular dream to decentralize indexing and querying, but the decentralization has to be gradual. It cannot be like, you read the white paper one day and after 3 years you disappear and come up to a protocol. That's the ICO era, and we have actually crossed that, and we are moving towards the real use case and real, application and activity and development has to be there. So the graph, when it was being built, the first product that we actually released was a hosted service, which was the first, first you can say movement towards decentralized indexing and querying, in which we had open APIs, but all the information was actually being indexed by a single indexer, right? But now in June, we have launched the decentralized network, which has indexer, curator, and delegator. And it's more so a decentralized way of indexing a decentralized application and putting it to decentralized application via open APIs, GraphQL APIs. So basically our medium, you can say, goal would be to move every decentralized application that exists, which uses the hosted service or which uses a centralized indexer, to use the graph on the graph network. That would be one of our, main goals. Currently, we are also working with our announcement with Near. We are also working to index not just Ethereum or EVM based chains like Ethereum, Optimism, Arbitrum, Polygon, but also index this non-EVM chains like with the announcement of Near and integration of Near. We are also looking forward to integrate Cosmos, Near, Solana, and all these things. So we believe in the mass believer of internet of blockchain. So that is also one of our goals. The third goal would be, again, to have faster indexing and querying, because the blockchain world is very big. And with these fast chains like Solana or Matic, which are just 1 second block time, we need to be more efficient. So that is also one of the goals that the core team is building and developing on. Other than that, the long-term goal, if you say, it would be like, as I told you, to be the Google of blockchains and everything. Move to the decentralized world. People believe in the Web3 infrastructure. There is no centralized company. People will use the graph to get the information that is put inside that below layer of Ethereum or any blockchain getting it outside to a decentralized application via the decentralized graph network that has been developed by the graph team.
I mean, that's a beautiful future which you are building, and even the present. And I have to ask though, the flip side to it, right? So it all now sounds very positive. Everything's very solid. Are there any chinks in the armor, so to speak? Is it all sunshine and rainbows, or do you encounter any, let's just say, obstacles along the way? Because I cannot believe that companies would relinquish their hold on centralized data easily. Could you elaborate about those struggles a bit?
Definitely. When you are working in the Web3 world, it is like, you're defying what has been what we can say, like, the centralized companies, the centralized infrastructure, the centralized mindset. So that is one of the issues we are trying to currently cater to make people understand it's not just about deploying your application on Ethereum and it is decentralized. You need to use the Web3 stack. It should not have any single point of failures, and for that you need to use the graph to get the information outside in a decentralized fashion. So education is one thing that we are currently aiming and focused on, making people realize the importance of the graph protocol. Other than that, as I told you, the graph initially was built with EVM chain, and we are expanding to the Near and Solana and all these non-EVM chains. So we have to make the graph node, which is one of the open source repos, to be more Near compatible and all these non-EVM compatible. So that's also one thing that we're working on. Again, it's a thing that requires a lot of dev work and dev hours. As that's one of the things. Third is as we move different applications from the hosted service, which is a free service, to the network, you need to query the blockchain, and you need to pay in GRT, right, for querying and getting the results. So you are moving people from the hosted service to a paid GRT service. So that is also one of the things that currently the team is currently making people realize how important it is to move to the network. And also there are delegators, indexers, and decent developers of the subgraphs. And for them, we have to make the economics of the graph network awesome. Since we are doing it for the first time, right? There is delegation, there is curation, there is indexers, and there are different fees and economics related to that of the network. Since we are doing it for the first time, we have to observe the behavior of all these people, make sure they are comfortable, and they realize and understand the need of the percentages given. Like, for example, there is 3% inflation every year, and that's distributed among indexes, curator, and delegator, and things like that. So all that economics and everything is also one of the things we had our researchers in, and we had struggled to make it a reality. And after the graph network launch, we are still talking to curators, delegators, indexers, making sure like economics is correct, and also on the way improving that, because the graph is not a company, a corporation, a single handed centralized infrastructure. It's rather a protocol of the Web3, where all the people have to be taken into confidence before moving things. So yeah, that's also one thing.
That's a monumental task, and I mean, just the amount of variables you have to deal with. And all I can say is, it really seems like you're doing a great job from what we've seen so far. And currently, I cannot wait till Web 3.0 has evolved even more, till it is about is deeper into adoption, into mass adoption. It still seems like it's quite a bit away. It's getting there, but it's still quite ways away, years and years. However, that's how it starts. Let's remember 12 years ago, how the whole space looked and how it looks now. So I cannot thank you enough, Pranav, for being a part with us on this talk. Is there anything else you would like to maybe educate us about the graph and your mission? Or if not, could you tell us what is the most fun you've had on blockchain, as you can recall?
So like, I would say one thing I would love to educate everybody in trying to move towards the Web3 and seeing, let's say, some of the meme coins or something going on or something. It's very important for a person who is getting into the space to understand fundamentals of why it exists. It's not just about the big numbers and tweets that I invested $1,000 and it is now $1 million. It's rather about the fundamentals which have led that particular investment to go 100x. There might be one person who has benefited and now is semi-retired, but there are 100 people who are broken because they didn't understand the fundamentals. Just listen to the noise in the crypto space and made their nuances. For me and for the Graph protocol in general, as a team, we believe in the power of Web3. We believe in the power of the new internet, the upcoming internet, which has to be decentralized. No centralized, no closed source, no central point of failure kind of thing. So you have to, if you're getting into the space as a youngster, as a person, as an investor, as a developer, please understand the fundamentals. Read about all that has made something possible, like utility tokens, governance tokens. Make sure you believe in this space, not just for money, but for the future it holds, and you will be good.
Yeah, I mean, do your own research and stay vigilant. I mean, those are great messages, Pranav. Thank you for educating us and being on this journey. Can't wait to see what you'll have in store for us in the future, you and your team. Thank you for being with us. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. See you next episode.